Thank you guys for coming to this. Like I said, I've been in the auto industry for 5 years, and this is a real passion of mine, the idea of service content and a service digital strategy and what dealers are kind of leaving on the floor. So first and foremost, a little bit about me, which gives me what I like to call the street cred in doing this. I've been in digital marketing for over 13 years, and I've been with CDK Automotive for the last 5.5 years. Out of all the clients I've had, I love auto dealers because they're very particular and it's a very unique clientele and a unique service and strategy. And that's fun for me because it pushes my boundaries and has really caused me to think a lot more about this. Also, the running joke within our company and the industry is that they refer to me as the Google whisperer, as there's never been a local knowledge graph I've not been able to solve or figure out. So take much pride in that map. So that's kind of who I am and how I got into all of this. The thing about automotive searches and the thing about service searches within that is that almost 25% of automotive searches that happen on the internet are service related. So that's about 70 million searches a month that are related to an aftermarket search of a service, parts, accessories, things like that. And while so much of that search is happening, only 3% of dealers' websites have content that is related to service and parts. So all these searches are happening, and there's not that answer for the customer out there. The mom and pop shop or kind of those big Jiffy Lube type of corporations, they have the content and they have the answers and they have the strategy that's going for those customers that you guys are just leaving there. And in Google's most recent study this last year, they said that almost half of consumers want to visit a service-related website before they take their car in. People want to educate themselves before they go visit it anywhere to get repair work done. I like to always say that the smart people who know nothing about cars go to Google before they go anywhere else. So there's a chance there to really create a digital strategy that targets the customers and drives in exactly what you'd like to see have happen. And because it wouldn't be a conference without something catchy, there are 4 wheels to putting together your digital strategy. One is being able to answer the why behind auto repair questions. This is the idea that you have to empower your customers to understand the why behind a service work and the why you do what you do, so they feel they know and they are part of the conversation. The second is taking that content you create and breaking it in to digital snacks, as what I call them, for social media. It's the channels out there that your customers are on, and it's a way to market to them passively as well as they go through that cycle. The third wheel is targeting your customers, and we'll get into that because there's a good way in all things. There's a good and bad way to target people, and there's great things that you could be doing with your current information and with your DMS. And finally, remembering that your customer reviews for your service department matter, and it's what people are reading when they make that decision. So as we dive into the idea behind answering questions about service and repair, there's 2 main things you need to realize about how search has changed. Historically, you used to be able to put the oil change phrase on your homepage, maybe on one other page, and you would be able to rank for that and be visible for that search. Now, search has changed as people have gotten smarter and Google has gotten smarter. So over 70% of those searches is that long tail or more than 3 keywords when somebody searches. So when you're thinking about the content on your website that's service related, you almost have to answer the 5 moments that Google has for a shopping process, but have it be service related. What is the price? How can I afford it? When do I need it? Where do I have to go? The other thing to realize is that people doing these service searches, those 70 million searches, are doing it voice related. Almost 20% of mobile queries right now are voice related, and that's just thought to drive up more and more as people just want that instant gratification when they're driving, when they're sitting on the couch, when they're thinking of that one thing, when they're contemplating, oh, I need to get my oil changed, what is open this Saturday? Or my engine light just went on, what do I have to do about that? Your website really needs to be able to answer all of those questions and connect with how somebody would speak to a Siri or something else for all of that. So how do you do that? And this is one of those great actual tangible things you can take away from the presentation. Answer the Public is one of the best websites out there in the digital space to be able to take a keyword or set of keywords and turn them into the questions and phrases that people are going to ask. So if you're trying to really market your oil changes and have more visibility around that, it's not about writing content about an oil change. It's about figuring out what are the questions people have around an oil change and how am I going to present content to answer that. One of the most common questions I've seen with this type of strategy is the 3,000 miles, when do I really need to get my oil change done? Who is open on a Saturday? Who has a coupon that I can use right now? So by being able to be relevant for all the different searches that are going to occur, you're going to increase your website's relevancy for the overall oil change product that you're trying to market for. One of the best case studies we've put together this last year was with Classic down in Texas, who wanted to increase the tire space that they were in and be able to sell more of the tires. And they started with a lot of the digital, advertising and things of that nature, and we took a very different approach to being able to build content for tires organically. And we built out what I call the 10 best questions about tires. Built on a page that talks really about what are the best tires for my Silverado, highlighting all those key terms, PSI, everything you need to know about a tire, and being able to present it that way. And as you see here in the screenshot, this is a page that now ranks on a national level with the Goodyear, with the Chevy website, with everything else in the aftermarket, by being able to present it in such a way where it attaches the question and engages with the right kind of shopper. This was a page that was linked once in the text on the homepage, not a huge banner, not a huge button, simple anchor text linking once. Through the time, we saw there customers who are coming in on this page spend an average of 4 minutes on the site. So this was the right kind of customer you want to see, especially in a tire market. They were not huge increases in traffic. This is a page that maybe gets 20 hits a month, 25 hits a month, but these are people coming in on a particular aftermarket search and converting. By building out this one page, we were also really able to see that increase in overall impressions around best searches, as well as increases in overall impressions around searches for tires in general. So it was a chance really to do something and to build the content with what people were asking for. The second part of service questions and service content comes entirely down to price and being able to market your price. Almost 3/4 of all the customers say that price is more important and that comparison is most important when they go into schedule online. And every dealership that I've worked with as we've started this off has not been the strongest at being able to say, I am competitive with the people in the area and there are great reasons why you should come to me. You've got to be able to take the top 3 reasons you want someone to know about your dealership and use that in your service menu. Additionally, you need to really be able to flesh out what you offer. If you're always doing a tire rotation and the 12-point inspection and everything else, above and beyond what a local shop is going to do, tell people that. It's not always assumed that people know exactly what you're going to offer in the dealership, or if you're not saying it on the service menu, then you're not connecting with what people are looking for. Additionally, you want to talk about the price as well as being able to talk about the coupon. Many dealerships, when they start talking about their offers and their specials, that's not exactly what someone is searching for. When somebody wants to do a price comparison on service and parts, they first start to look for the coupon. Who has the best oil change coupon in my area? Who has the best price for getting my tires rotated? And so you have to take what is typical dealer language in regards to those prices and think about how they want to reflect that in service and parts. Additionally, there's some really amazing options on your Google My Business listing that you can be taking advantage of right now. One of the biggest ones is that Google will let anyone who has a menu of their offerings put that link right within their knowledge graph. So that's this information on the right-hand side when you search for, and you'll be able to put your products and services, and that's going to drive people right into your service specials, your service menu, however you present that information. When we ran a study last year at CDK and Earned Marketing, we did this for a group of dealers by just putting in the base service menu. We saw an increase of 6 to 7 page views for that menu and an increase of 20% of leads by just putting that link into Google My Business. And those were service-related leads. Those are the type we're really trying to go for. So now that you have created all this great content on your website, the way to engage with people for that outside of search is through social media and having some sort of visual representation of what service means and what repair means. And I say visual because as much as it pains me to say, people like pretty pictures on Facebook. They like graphic, they like numbers, they like all of those things, and that is what's going to catch someone's eye. So you need to have a strategy that talks about service that way and presents the information. It's thought that over 50% of shoppers are influenced by what they see on Facebook, so it's a great way to really remember how you present your brand. I have created, and what I tell all my clients, is the 70-20-10 rule for social media, particularly Facebook. You'll notice here that nothing I talk about will talk about a price. You shouldn't be using your social media channels to blast price, blast vehicles, blast cars of that nature. 70% of your Facebook or your social media strategy really needs to be about the brand, but about who you are. It's a way to show the trust and build the authority of what you do and who your people are so that everybody knows who the salesperson is, who the service person is. 20% of this strategy should really be about everybody in your neighborhood except for you. You've got a great voice and a great ability to highlight local organizations, highlight things that are going on, and being able to talk about it that way. 10% should be about your dealership, but it should never really dive into, once again, anything to do with prices, more about things that are going on, the history of the dealership, things like that. So when you think about that 70% of the content, it really and truly should be videos. People are watching videos on Facebook. People are watching way too many videos on Facebook. And a lot of that is occurring on mobile, and it's a chance to engage with that customers. That same person who just searched for the nearest oil change or the nearest oil change open on Saturday, 2 seconds later is going to open their Facebook page and going to see the feed and what's going on, and it's a chance to engage with them on a different platform. So if there's anything you take away from my presentation today, it's the information on the next slide, because I really wish more dealers would do this because it has a great engagement. And that's the idea of being able to go live with your service department. All of you have Facebook pages, and all of you have the ability with those pages to do live videos. And that's a chance that someone who's liked your page before will get a notification you're about to go live, or afterwards we'll get a notification that you went live with a video. And this is a chance to do all that service-related content in a way that people will see and use more and more. This is a chance to be able to interview your service guys. Talk to one of the guys who's a certified tech who's been there for 20 years. What does the certification mean? What is he most proud of? What does he like to do in his hobbies and spare time? Get a chance to really build your repair brand through these videos. You can also do walkarounds and host Q&As as well. Get a chance to be able to drive that kind of question and answer. There's a study I read last week that said 80% of people are more likely to engage with a video on Facebook because of the chance to ask a question and get that instant gratification of a response. The best thing that you'll learn with the Facebook app is that you can install the Page Manager app on a simple phone that can float around the dealership. So it's not just one person's phone that you're relying on. You can run that from a central location and be able to have that to pass around throughout the dealership. The other place that service searches are happening and that content is being looked for is on YouTube. The studies released from Google that say that almost 40% of people will go look up how to do a repair before they take it into the dealership. And that really is the idea that people want to be educated on what's going to happen with their car before they go in and do anything else. So there's a chance to really see, and if you go into YouTube and type how to change oil, how to check tire pressure, there's so many videos and so much that you can do with that. Due to the fact that there is already a lot of great content on YouTube, you can also use your channel to build out playlists. Same concept of things being searched for, but you're now the one curating the 200 videos that are about an oil change and showing your customers which ones you think are the best and the ones that they should be watching. Still allows for a description, still allows for tags, still allows for a link back to one of your service pages without having to recreate what's already on YouTube. And that's one of those things where if you don't want to contribute more of the noise or you don't think you have somebody compelling enough to be able to do a video that people want to engage with, use this to be able to build out that same type of content and that same type of engagement without having to create that video yourself. Targeting your customers. Now, with all that is going on in the news right now, I was a little weary with this part of the presentation, but I want to start off by saying, with all things, there's a good way to target people and there's a bad way to target people. Just like there are good car dealers and bad car dealers, there are shady ways to do a lot of this, and that's where people get scared. But as you look at the information and all of the research that's been about kind of personalization and being able to see advertisements, being able to see a website that's personalized once someone has visited once, almost 80% of people want that personalization. They want to know that a brand cares enough to be able to provide that unique experience, either in an advertisement or on the website as well. Over half of the people also are okay with providing information, key phrase down in here, when it's being used in responsible ways. And so that's what I will always tell people and try to think about when we dive into this, is that there's a way to go about targeting and there's a way to go about really marketing to those customers, and make sure that you're doing it the right way, and you can hold pride like everything else you do in your dealership with that. The first way to think about targeting is the idea that people want instant gratification and are looking for the nearest X, Y, and Z at any given moment. And that's the idea that near me searches have increased over 130% and continue to increase as people want to know what's right then and there and how can I get that. Because I love being able to have data to back up what I'm talking about, not than just rattling things off. We did a study about 2 years ago now, and it still holds up. By being able to include near me in the page description and page title on the hours and directions, we were able to see a good increase in the engagement around that. And we saw the click-through rate for the test group increase all over 80%, and the impressions for this phrase for the hours and directions page continue to grow and to continue to engage with exactly what we want to see. People want that. They want to be told what's the nearest, how we can do that, and this is a way to go after that. This is also coming up here, one of those things that I wish more dealers would do. Being near to your customers in paid search by connecting your Google My Business to your AdWords. And what that really means is that about a year ago, Google said, we're not going to take a location extension from a feed. We're going to take the information right from your verified Google My Business page and use that as the location extension and the source of your address for all of your advertising. What that also means is that you now have the chance to be on an advertisement in that local pack on the map. So somebody's searching for a nearest oil change on the map, you now, by doing all of this, can target those dealerships or target those searches. You can also use this as a way, which I really like to do, to conquest. This is a chance to be able to say, I am 20 miles outside of a large metro area or a larger city, but I'd like to engage with some of those customers. You've got the ability to set up a location extension to be visible in those searches. It's a great way also to take 2 spots on a map result or a local pack. Friendly here shows up in the 1 and in the 2 spots, so you'll be able to kick a competitor down by having these 2 things connected and be there when you're bidding on those near me searches. Because this is the type of information Google would show up when somebody searches for that. Targeting on YouTube is one of those things that people can go back and forth on, but it's also where people are engaging. And that's the idea that people who've been targeted on YouTube for a service-related type of offering are likely either to remember or click right through on that ad. Additionally, Google has now rolled out what they call the intent audiences, and that's for the display network. And that allows you to really target in more the particular type of shopper you want to engage with, as well as looking at what, instead of the 30-second ads, the 6-second bumper ads is what they're calling them. And that's going to run before a video and allow you, it can't be skipped, and it gives you a chance to tell your story and engage that content in that 6 seconds. So when you think about that, you have to really go back to what are the 3 things that I want somebody to know about my service department? What is the most important, and how can I display that in 6 seconds? The engagement rate on those so far has been amazing, and it drives in a lot of those searches. Retarget shoppers who hit your service page. In an industry, we're really good at retargeting if somebody's looked at a vehicle. You hit a vehicle page, you go over to Amazon, you're going to see that ad for similar vehicles, other vehicles, things like that. We do not do well at being able to target for that oil change, for that information that goes on. And on Facebook, you're also able to create the custom audiences, and you should be using your DMS to create those custom audiences. Facebook still is one of the best returns on the investment, and you're able to target for pennies on the shopper compared to maybe an oil change email blast that's going to cost you $1.50 or $2, or an actual mailer that will cost you around that as well. You know who needs to come in for that 60,000 miles checkup. And you can create that audience and target them with a particular offer that they wouldn't be seeing anywhere else on a channel that you already know they're going to be on and going to be engaging with. One of my dealers also they've gotten really into this and will target based off of their 4 major offerings, so that if somebody hits their content page about brake repair and then goes over to Amazon, they'll get a brake coupon and be able to really target into what do I want to focus on and how do I want to engage with those customers. Customer reviews, or the thing that can make and break a deal going on. Everybody is reading customer reviews, and everybody wants to know exactly how that service is offering and how they're going to be treated within the service department. The stat I love the most is, as we try to market to those great millennials, they trust service reviews, or reviews in general of a business, more than they trust anything else. Additionally, it takes almost up to 34 reviews in order for somebody to finally feel that they trust them. They have to be reading that many reviews in order to know what's going on. So if we drive a lot of these sales type of reviews for that, you have to ask yourself, am I doing the same thing for my service department? Are we asking properly? Are we sending the follow-up? Are we having all the right questions? Because people want to see that, and it is just as important, if not more important, because that's the reviews that go for the life of the car. In all things, Google is the first thing that you want to look at, because Google is really what drives a lot of this. I like to joke that this is Google's world and we're all just kind of trying to figure out how to live in it. What Google has started to do now with reviews is that if you look for the best dealership or the best place to get your oil change, they will only list business listings that have 4 stars or more. They have guided that to say that if you were looking for the best, there's a certain standard that those businesses have to meet. Additionally, the Google bots will now read the reviews and pull out keywords and put that into your business listing, so that your snippet of information, if somebody's searching for an oil change, will include reviews that talk about your service department and talk about the great experience with the oil change, talk about the high-class treatment that occurred. So you've got to remember that you need those, and you need those fleshed out in a way that will engage with what people are looking for. And besides just needing to see the reviews, the increase in the star rating can actually increase the click-through rate by a great amount. You're looking at 25% more clicks by going from a 3 to a 5-star rating in that. And as we see here, it's more than just your dealership website that should have the structured data and have your little stars in their reviews in the search results there, because that's exactly what you want to see. But it's being able to know that your dealer rating is a good, strong one, that your Cars.com, all of these need to reflect your service department as well as the sales department. Once again, because it's Google's world, there's 2 other great aspects of your business listing that you are probably not taking advantage of that you should. First is the question and answer section that occurs, and this is a chance for somebody to ask a particular question, and it either gets crowdsourced or you can go in and answer as well. And as questions get voted up, those are the ones that start to show right within your knowledge graph for your dealership. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen dealerships who don't pay attention to this, and somebody has left a horrible review, a service-related review, right in the question and answer section. So now, when anybody searches for that dealership, what they see is nothing but a horrible service review and nothing else. That's going to be what's left, and that customer is going to look somewhere else. Additionally, Google has brought back recently what they call the Google Post, and that's the idea of being able to share relevant content right within the search results. It's right there in your business information. You can put up offer information, you can put up prices, sales, specials, whatever's going on, And anyone who searches for your business will see that information. In the last year when we looked at this, it was driving an increase of 225 impressions per post. And service-related posts were the ones that saw the most click-through. So that people were going, seeing the price, seeing the offer, going right through with that and driving into scheduling that appointment and engaging with that. And as hated as Yelp is in the world, and in any industry, you shouldn't be asking for reviews on Yelp or trying to look at that number at all. But Yelp has a new feature called Ask the Community that you can be engaging with. And like with Google My Business, you really should be looking and seeing what is going on, what are they saying about me, and how can I engage with that. This is also the place with Google that the natural language or how people are actually talking will show up in the search results. So you want to make sure that you know what they're saying about you and you know what they're driving in and what people actually think about your dealership. And with that, we have time for questions. Yes?
Tells us they're here for a battery, do an MPI, buy their car and trade, sell them another car, send them out with the same payments, don't wait 3 more years for them to come back into the market and spend that $600 or $700 to market to sell that car, that customer another car. One question, maybe.
To me, the biggest opportunity is in the content you create on your website. It's because when people start to think about, I'm at 60,000 miles, I'm at X amount of miles, do I need my oil change? What's going on? You've got to remind them of that. Is that at a certain point, you should be thinking about X, Y, and Z. And then being able to present content that says, this is probably going to cost about this much, but did you realize you can trade in and start the process at looking at a new car? When it's explained to them that the cost of what is going on is more than if they were to start looking at a new car, that's where I see a lot of engagement on those pages, is that once people understand what goes into a service work, they start to think, wouldn't it be easier if I had another car, if I had a newer car? So in all of the content you create, it's also about making sure to realize there's a way to get them in thinking as a car shopper. Yes? Yeah.
So if it truly is 60,000 and that's the car that you want, then you can use that fairly messages aligning with lease traded, those types of things.
And if you're using your DMS to create those audiences, it's also a chance to put up those offers. Is that you know every person who's had the car for 3 years, and that you should be using that audience to start thinking about lease and trade-in and everything that goes with that. Any other questions? If not, I give you back time because I always like when presenters give me back time at conferences. It's a chance to breathe. Thank you guys so much for listening. I appreciate it greatly.